Hello! Today is a day we get the concrete blocks removed from the front of the yard. The porches have long rotted away and we pulled those down, and now the concrete blocks are also a mess, so we're getting them removed. Haha. Merci beaucoup! Il travail fatto. Eh bien. Hello, so now we are in day 2 of the project. The sun is trying to break through the cloud. We had a heck of a rainfall and the heavy winds last night, but now we can see what everything has. I sort of cleaned this up yesterday in the rain, took a lot of the blown in insulation and the mortar that was there years ago out, but the wall is actually pretty well intact. The wood beam, which supports the floor, needs to be dried up, and then I need to put a wood hardener on it, and then mortar all around it, replace the stone around it. The piece of wood, actually it's the beam that it rests on top of here. That's the floor for the outer wall. I need to cut the outside off and put a new face on it. Other than that, it's still pretty structurally sound after 300 or 400 years. Now this is the older side of the house. The other side, we know the date is probably about 1767 for the other side, but this side I always say is much older. So on the other side, it's still a pool of water, so I can't do much there. You can see that the milkweed got clobbered in the storm last night, and you see the videos of the construction with the jackhammering going on. We actually closed all the shutters to prevent any small debris from breaking the glass, because some of this glass is dated back to 1884. So this is my project today, is to try and get this side done. The other side is going to be a little more technical because I have to wait for the wood to dry, and there's two beams exposed in the wood underneath that need to be dry and then hardened. But also I have an electric wire in there that doesn't have any conduit on it, so I have to put conduit between the stone wall and then reinforce where the water pipe comes through as well, and then I can put motor back in and fix it all up. There's also a vent pipe that went into the basement to sort of a food area to keep it cool. I'm going to be taking that as well for security, but also for waterproofing. That's my job today. One thing about working on an old house is that it is actually an archaeological site in many ways, and that's been sort of the interesting problems that we've encountered. We can't dig into the front yard because we find all this old stone, and some of this old stone is a chimney that used to be on that side of the house, but it also was the wall that was between the two residences, because this is the original side and then that was added on, so this also, the stone, was the external wall of the house behind me that went this way. And then we have some interesting cuts in this stone, and without knowing the origin of the stone, which was all found on this side of the house, it could either be the front step, the original front step of the house, or it could have been associated with the fireplace. So either the hearth in front of the fireplace, which kept all the debris from falling and burning onto the wood floor, but it's a little thick for that, so I don't know exactly what it is. But it's cut nice and straight, or broken nice and straight. And then there's another piece here beside me that's also broken. So these could be to the original front steps for both sides of the house. And they were underneath all the concrete. Same with this. And you can find some other square stones that would have been part of the chimney that would have been built over there. The chimney on this side of the house is the original chimney, dating, what date, I don't know, 1767 and older. But nobody will ever know, because nobody knows the exact history of this house. But anyways, every stone has a story, and as fast as the contractors were throwing them into the front end loader to load in the dump truck, I was pulling them out so I can fix the walls and do stuff with them. Anyways, this is a nice keepsake here. That ain't going anywhere. That's part of the house. Now to get to work. Toodaloo again.
Well, the rain held off enough for me to get one wall restoned and repointed. And then the second one, I've got half done, but also I have to redo the electrical plug-in that's there, take out a pipe that is there, as well as redo the plumbing that is there, and then I can seal it all up with more. And then there was a lot of big holes, because the construction on that side is a lot different. Let's go take a look at it. Now this is the east side, which is the older side, and you can see that after about 2.5 feet down, there is an actual wider stone wall underneath, giving it a stronger foundation. And this foundation is much, much better protected and sturdier than the other one. And you can even see the end of the beam that holds the flooring up. That's well protected too, because it is under the wall, the wooden wall. So let's go take a look at the other side. So here we are on the west side, and you can see the two beams that are sticking through. They're rotten all the way in, and I've actually got support beams on the inside of the house because they've rotten and there's dry rot. But if you look, there is no wider wall underneath, so it wasn't built as strong. In fact, I think this was only built about 3 or 4 feet down, because in one corner, like right over there, I pulled out a couple of rocks, those long ones that actually right there, and I was able to reach in, and I had a little cave in there, and in the cave I picked up some pieces of clay pipe that I'll wash up and see if I can put it back together. It's just the stem, it's not the bowl of the pipe. But if this is the side of the house that was built in 1767, then those would be pipes that maybe the guys were smoking when they built this wall, and they just put it in the wall or just threw it, and then it became part of the wall. It wasn't in mortar, but it was in behind the stones that I actually moved. So that's the pipe that I have to remove and put a better water pipe in, and then put a conduit in instead of just having the bare wire embedded in concrete. So we'll see how the weather holds out, and that's what I will be doing my next time that I'm here. And then you can see that this wall is extended past the wall line, the wooden wall line, so it's not as protected. I have to put some new wood underneath there, so I'll be probably having to go to Lévis, the opposite Quebec City, to get some nice cedar to put in there, because cedar doesn't rot. I can put treated wood in there, but I'd rather put cedar in there. I'll get probably a 2x4, and then I'll cut it down, and we'll see. Anyways, this is